Alright, in this video we're going to find out if this hodgepodge Chevy 350 is going to run. Or is it just junk and I did all that work for nothing? Let's go. Welcome back to another episode of Country Boy Gas Garage. Now, my name's Jason, and what I do here is rescue old classic vehicles and revive them and get them back on the road. And, well, you've seen some content on some of these vehicles behind me, but what we're working on right now is this 1959 Chevy El Camino. Now, most of you probably been following along and kind of know where we're at, but if you're new to the channel or if this is your first video, we're doing a whole series on this 1959 Chevy El Camino. Now, these things have gotten really hard to find, and I think we've got the rustiest one out there. And we've been making some good progress on this thing. We completely overhauled the chassis from front to back. I mean, we started at the rear and replaced all the bearings and seals and bushings and painted all the components. We moved up front and replaced all the ball joints and bushings. We did all new bearings and seals and shocks. And then we also did all new brakes, all new brake lines, master cylinder, everything. So the complete chassis has been overhauled on this vehicle. And then recently we moved on to the motor. It's a mystery Chevy 350 that was just given to us with this car, and then it sat for like 7 years. And so in the last couple of videos we dug into it trying to get it started, and well, unfortunately in the last video I struggled and I failed to get it running. But I like to stay optimistic, and then again with your guys' help I think we're gonna get it started today. So we're just gonna pick up where we left off last week. Let's go. Alright, so here we are. Now, you know, this is a Chevy 350 that we got with the car. It was on this engine stand, and it had a bolt holding the flex plate from allowing it to rotate. So it just sat for maybe 7 years, stuck on this engine stand. And then recently we kind of went through it, freed it up, and re-gasketed it, painted it. And well, in the last video we were trying to get this thing to run, and I was unable to get it to start. But we pretty much came to the conclusion that this is kind of a hodgepodge motor. You know, a 70s 350 block. It's got 305 heads, an older style Edelbrock intake with a bunch of random parts and some damage to the block. You know, the starter, we're having issues with it because the mounting surface and those holes have all been compromised and damaged. There's the front crank bolt is also stripped out with a Healy coil. And this thing wasn't able to run. And, you know, I went through the procedure of, you know, getting this thing set up several times. You know, bringing this number one cylinder to top dead center on the compression stroke. And then inserting the distributor properly. But after cranking this thing over and over and over, it really still seems like this distributor is 180 out. Even when it's top dead center on the compression stroke, you know, I checked the piston with a screwdriver. That piston was very top. It pushed my finger out with the compression, and I swear both these valves were still closed. But at this point, maybe I was mistaken somehow. I can't believe that after all that stuff that we did in the last video that I never actually did try to reset the distributor in there in case it was 180 out. But I didn't really realize that you're even going to get compression on the exhaust stroke. So maybe somehow I'm mistaken that those were closed. I don't know. But I'm going to go for it. I'm going to pull this thing out and reset it in 180 out from where we're at now. And we're going to try to get this thing start still. If it doesn't, then we'll go back through and do a compression test, which we didn't do last time. We'll check the compression on all the cylinders. And the other thing I was leaning towards was possibly that the cam and the timing chain or something's misaligned, maybe it jumped a gear or somebody installed it incorrectly, so we could pull the balancer off and the timing chain cover off and see what's going on there too if it doesn't start. But the easiest thing is just to reset the distributor 180 out from where we're at now and give her another try. So that's what I'm going to do. But I have to, you know, once again, I don't have the carburetor ready to go, so we're going to pull it off the Nova again, get that Edelbrock carburetor on here, run a fuel line to the jug, hook the battery up, and hopefully get this thing to start. All right. Well, of course, we've got the rain again, so you're going to have to bear with me with the sound. But I think we got everything set back up here. I got the carburetor on here, hooked up to the fuel pump, hooked up to the jug. We got a battery. I guess now what I'll do is I'll pull the distributor back out, and we're going to start this whole process over again and be a little more thorough. So let's pull that distributor. Now I already pulled the spark plug out, so we're going to check to find the compression stroke on the number one cylinder. Now, once again, I want to thank everybody for the tips and advice you guys left in the comments. I really appreciate it. And I agree with you guys. It does sound like it was 180 out, in which I've made that mistake once before a long time ago. And since then, I feel like I've done a pretty thorough job of not making that mistake. But everybody makes a mistake, right? Well, I really appreciate you guys helping me try to get this resolved. So, well, let's give it a try here. And one more thing before we start cranking that dang starter. I'm realizing that with the 59 bell housing that we're going to bolt to the back of this, and with what you guys are saying, I believe that the starter is going to mount up differently. It's going to mount to that actual bell housing, if I'm correct. So we're going to not even need these funky mounting holes that are all jacked up. So hopefully that plays out in our favor. But for now, hopefully that starter cooperates. Alright, here we go. Yeah, I could feel the compression stroke. You could hear it with that gallop, being that the cylinder's the plug's out. This is the dead cylinder. As you hear it cranking, you can hear that gallop. That's when it's pushing my finger out. And then I'm timing that and watching these two valves to be closed at the same time. And it's looking like that's the top. Maybe I'll move you guys over here. Let's try that. Alright, let's see if we can get a light here. I don't know if you guys are able to see any better from there, but yeah, right there is top dead center. Yeah, we're right at the top. Both these rockers are up, meaning the valves are closed. I mean, we gotta be close there. And now, we'll reset that distributor again. Now as this distributor goes down and it engages with the gears, it's gonna rotate, and I want it to land with that rotor pointing right at the number one cylinder. And when I put the cap on, make sure it's right at that number one terminal. There. And we'll get this cap back on. And verify that, number one. Yeah, that's rotor's lined up with the number one terminal. Reconnect this. Now I guess honestly I didn't necessarily put this at 180 from where it was before. I just redid the process from step one again. But you guys verified with me, right, that that's number one cylinder is at the top dead center of the compression stroke, and we're lined up. I mean, If this doesn't work, I don't know. We'll have to dig into it deeper, I guess. We'll reinstall the plug. Yeah, I can see both these rockers loose, so the valves are closed. I can see this one's down, this one's up, this one's down, that one's up, that one's up, that one's down. So I can see those valves are closed and this piston is all the way at the top of the cylinder. That's got to be right. All right, let's hook up the coil and see what happens. All right, let's go. Oh, she sounds like she wants to go. Oh, stupid starter. Realizing I do have a vacuum leak right here, I gotta plug first. Dang. Alright, come on, girl. She really barked off right at first, like she does every time. And then nothing. Come on. Guys, what's going on? Alright, well it's the next day, and I went to Harbor Freight and picked up a compression tester. But first, really quick, I'm going to swap out this distributor with the one out of the Nova. You know, once again, process of elimination. Let's just verify that this is working correctly. These are super cheap Amazon plug wires. Don't even know if they're working right. So let's switch that out, and we'll go through the process one more time, super slow, verifying that everything is correct. And if that distributor doesn't work either, then we're going to do a compression test, see what that reads out, and we'll probably dig into the timing chain cover and see what's going on under there. And there's only so much more energy I can put into this thing before we have to move on. So fingers crossed. Let's get this thing to run. Alright, let's find top dead center on the combustion stroke in cylinder number 1 again. We're going to go pretty slow. We're going to watch these valves, make sure they're both in the closed position. Now I'm going to rotate it slowly and watch it come around and keep my finger over it here. And so now the intake is opening. Now they're both closed, and there goes the compression. I just felt it push out, and you probably heard it as well. Let's do it again. Let's come around again. That's the rest of that compression coming out. So we got exhaust, intake, and compression right there. So we should be top dead center in compression stroke. And then let's see, we'll look at the balancer, the timing mark, which is coming around. Right now we're about maybe 14 degrees before top dead center. I think it was Keith. I was reading your comment. It was really helping me. That's why we're going slow and doing this. I think you said bring it to about 10 degrees, which I figured. So I'll manually move this over. I need both hands to do that, but move that into the position there, and that should be top dead center on the compression stroke. We'll get that distributor set in there and go from there. Alright, and now this is the distributor out of the Nova. That is the same distributor and just as new, but we know this one's working. I marked on the housing right there where the number 1 terminal is, so that should help us reference that. Go ahead and drop this in here. I'm going to pull this cap off so we can see the rotor. Let's get this dropped in here, right? Looks like it's pointing right in the right direction. It hasn't dropped down onto the oil pump shaft, but now that it's engaged with the cam gear, we can go ahead and rotate it slowly around until that drops into the cam gear. Right there. And even just doing that right there, clicking it over, some fuel sprayed up out of the carb. So I'm still not understanding how that's happening. There's definitely something wrong here. But we got this in here, and we can bring it back around to top dead center now. Compression stroke, number 1. That should orient that rotor right back at number 1 again. Fuel sprayed up out. There's compression building right there. Top dead center and pointing at number 1. Alright, let's get this distributor mounted down. Alright, now let's go ahead and run these wires to the right plugs. Let's take a few moments for the sponsor of today's video. All right, check it out, guys. We just got this Win 1 K20 retro style electric e-bike. Now, this is my first e-bike, my first electric vehicle in general. And, well, this thing is really cool with its retro styling. It looks like a classic beach cruiser, kind of like a vintage motorcycle. This has got a really cool old school feel to it. Kind of a vintage styling meets modern tech. Now, right off the bat, you notice these huge tires, these 26 by 4-inch air tires for all terrain surfaces, with a tread pattern for superior grip and slip resistance. Like I said, this is a full-size adult bike, but it's fully adjustable with the handlebars and the seat to match any height or riding styles. Like I said, I've been riding this thing for a week, and I love it. Even at night, this thing has a bright LED headlight, and it's equipped with a 48-volt, 15-amp-hour battery with a 750-watt motor for all your daily needs. You know, with this classic cruiser styling, it makes for a great commuter in an urban terrain. But in my situation, it makes even better for off-road and all-terrain travel in my rural and country living. I mean, even for me to check my mail is over a mile round trip up and down a gravel road. No more firing up the Jeep. We're just going to rip down it on the bike. And today, I cruised all the way out here to the creek. I could bring my fishing pole and just go fishing. I'm telling you guys, if you get one of these, you're not going to be disappointed. And let's take a little time to check it out a little closer, and then we're going to go cruising. Let's go. Now, right off the bat, it's equipped with high-quality Shimano hardware, you know, derailleurs, and we got disc brakes front and rear, along with the shifter and all the display readout here. We just push this button for a moment and it turns on. And I'm still learning the functions, but, you know, it gives you your top speed and your average speed and your distance, your battery life. And another thing is, I haven't even had to hook this thing up. It came fully charged, and we haven't diminished the battery yet. I've been, like I said, riding this around for days, so it's got excellent battery life. You know, and once you get this switched on, you could either leave it at 0 assist and just pedal it like a normal bike, which I've done, and it does great. But, you know, you just crank it up one. I think it's got 5 levels of assist. And what that does is, I mean, you could just coast with your feet and use just the throttle for that motor, and it'll get you about 30 miles an hour. But even cooler is you could just put it on an assist level that you feel comfortable with, and as you pedal, it'll just assist you in your ride. So that's pretty cool. I've never even seen that. It's got like a Springer front end, and then the rear is like a rigid, but it's got the springs in the seat. So this thing's really cool. Like I'm saying, it'll take you just about anywhere, because, well, look where we're at now. I rode all the way here. This thing didn't let me down at all. I say we get loaded up and go for a little cruise. All right, let's go cruising. I mean, I guess that doesn't show up very good on the video, but that's quite steep down and then across a dry riverbank and then up the other side. You think it'll do it? We're not even at full battery anymore either, so let's go. Well, we didn't quite make it up the hill, but that was a steep one. Oh, never mind that sign there. Oops. And we're going over sticks and logs and bumps. Get up this hill. All right, now we're on pavement. Go. Let's go. The old beard in the wind. Let's see how fast this thing will rip up my driveway. Let's go. This is about a half mile at least, going uphill most of the whole way. Let's go. We haven't got full battery anymore. We're only about half battery, and this is all uphill. We're still gaining speed. So this is going to make checking the mail a lot easier. Gaining speed. This thing hauls butt. Woo! Like I said before, this thing rips. Now, if any of you are interested in one for yourself, I'll leave a link and a discount code in the description of the video. Peace. Alright, we got everything re-hooked up again. Let's give it a try. This is probably the last attempt we're going to make. You ever feel like you're just beating a dead horse? Alright guys, wish me luck. Let's go. Fire in the hole. Barked a little bit. I see fuel coming up out of that carb. That's all we get is that one little bark. I have no idea. We're gonna have to dig into this deeper, guys. Alright, well, we got the spark plugs pulled out of it, and I got this new Harbor Freight compression tester hooked up to the #1 cylinder, and let's see what it says. Well, that's not very good. That's barely even 90. So, well, right off the bat, that's telling us something. I wonder if they're all going to be that bad. I'm going to be looking for another motor. I mean, I guess the rings could be stuck. But there wasn't a whole lot of rust in there. It could also mean maybe something with the timing is off and it's leaking past the valves. They're not seating right at the right time or something maybe. Well, now we're, let's see, cylinder number 3. Yeah, maybe 100, just over 100. Yeah, I think this is not turning out to be good. Now I just got to figure out if it's the rings that's keeping it from building compression or the valves. Well, cylinder number 5. $120. I mean, getting better, but number 7. This isn't looking good, guys. Now, when we were looking at this thing through the endoscope, like I said, it wasn't much rust, but there was definitely signs of use. Like, there was up and down scoring in the cylinders. Can't imagine it being that worn out, but maybe it's that worn out. All right, number 2. Well, just over 120. I mean, if they were all that, we'd be in business. Another thing I'm realizing is I haven't been opening the carburetor. You're supposed to open the throttle blades all the way when you do this. I don't know if that's affecting it much. Might want to redo those just to verify. Alright, well, I'll do the throttle blades on this one here. Open it up. That didn't help us any. Just over 90 on that. But even a motor with low compression will still run sometimes. Just over 100. And the last one here. Well, number 8 was the best, almost 150. So that's pretty uneven. Doesn't really answer a whole lot of questions. It just lets us know that we don't got a whole lot of compression in a lot of these cylinders. And I might need to be looking for another motor. And well, this one might be for sale if anybody's interested. A fresh rebuild, except for I seem to have lost the receipts. Alright, well, I got this puller hooked up to the balancer here, so let's try to get this off. Well, let me get a bigger tool in. See if this one will do it. There we go. Get that off. Alright, let's get this cover off. Now I believe we're going to have to drop the panel a little as well, unfortunately. But let's start getting this off anyway. I'm pretty sure I got it on top dead center compression stroke right now. And I'm going to have to research and figure out where this is supposed to be oriented, but I believe the timing marks are supposed to line up, and there's a timing mark way up here off to the 2 o'clock position. There's a double roller timing chain, and it's tight, like it's new, like it's not worn out. We had moved off top dead center a little bit when I started using that gear puller. So let me bring it back. And get it back on top dead center. Compression stroke here. Should be about right there. Yeah. There. Yeah, and that puts this timing mark at like the 1 o'clock position. Alright guys, so I just went through and triple checked that I am at top dead center on compression stroke and number 1. Feeling it with the screwdriver, come all the way to the top, right when the distributor is lined up to the number 1 location. Both rockers are loose, meaning these valves are completely closed. You come over here to the timing chain and one's up here. I don't know if you could see that. So that would put the other one probably, oh, well, there's the other one. So is this cam installed just incorrectly? Is it need to be clocked a little bit different? This is where I'm going to need your guys' help. Would that be the cause of our problem? Dang, I don't know. Alright, I just got done Googling all of this, and yeah, when you're setting the timing chain, you line those marks up, but then you rotate the one, you get them both in the 12 o'clock position, and that will make number 1 the compression stroke. So, being that top cam gear timing mark is at like the 1 or 2 o'clock position, things are definitely not lined up. I don't know necessarily if that's what's causing us to have the issues we're having, but I'm tempted just to go ahead and pull that cam gear off and realign things up and see if it works. Alright guys, I'm not sure if this is going to work. I'm just going for it. Right? I mean, that's tight. But now, both timing marks are at the 12 o'clock position. I'll put these bolts back in with a little blue Loctite. Alright, now I'm pretty sure I'm going to have an oil leak in these gaskets, but alright, let's get this bouncer back on. Alright guys, I got it all put back together again. Got the distributor in there, got all the wires ran, got the coil hooked up, batteries hooked up to the starter. Alright, let's give it one last try. Here we go. It so sounds like it's going to start, and then nothing. Curse this damn motor. The to put it together like a dickhead. I'll backward and make my life a Sorry about that. I don't know, what do you guys think about this hokey mismatch engine? So frustrated. Still's got to be something somebody had to put this together super wonky. There's something weird going on. When I'm cranking it, there's a burst of compression coming up out the carburetor with no coil hooked up, so it's not backfiring, it's just the compression going up through the intake. So there's something really funky going on there. I don't know, what do you guys think? Should we tear it apart and re-ring it and just dingle ball home the cylinders and put it back together and see if that fixes it? Hopefully by assembling it correctly, it'll run that way. Or do we just scrap it and move on? Right now, I'm super frustrated and I got to back up off of it for a little bit. You know, I'm super bummed. I was hoping to have this car running and driving by the end of the summer, and obviously that's not going to happen. You know, we've made great progress, but we still got a long ways to go before it's driving. And having this motor not working out for us has been a real setback. I planned on already being at the point of installing it at this point. And being that the summer's ending and winter's coming in fast, there's a lot of stuff I've got to do around the property to get ready for winter. Some of you asked about it, and I'd mention it, you know, being off-grid. And, you know, we do live way up here in the mountains of Oregon, off the grid. And we have our little homestead up here, and, well, it takes a lot of work to get ready for winter. And that's what I got to get going, and that's what I'm going to be having to do the next few weeks. You know, we've got to fill the woodshed with firewood. We need probably 5 or 6 cords of firewood to make it through the winter. And we got to make sure the generator and the diesel heaters and all that are ready to run. And we got to winterize the garden and the animal pens. And, you know, I do make some content with that, and I put that on our second channel, Country Family Forest Homestead. So if you're interested in some of that kind of stuff, you know, go check it out. You know, we appreciate it. And it won't be long and we'll be back on this 59 Chevy, getting some kind of motor and drivetrain into this thing and getting it back on the road. Now, if you're interested in helping support the channel, check out the merch site, www.countryboygasgarage.com. We got the gas station pump design on t-shirts and hoodies and hats, as well as other designs and more on the way as well. And I have to give a huge shout out to my members. Like always, I can't do it without you guys' support. So thank you. And if you're not a member of the channel, please consider doing so. And of course, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Please hit that subscribe button. Like the video, and please guys, leave me a comment. And well, until next time, peace.